We'll get this recording and then we'll get you guys started so I can kind of point out to you the things that we're working on for today. Hopefully your day is going well. Good to see you guys. Missed seeing you in person, but that kind of goes without saying. Hopefully you guys are staying healthy. This week we're working with chapter 25 and we're working with the civil rights movement. And so the assignment that I had for you yesterday was to work on a chunk of your text questions. And my hope is that you were able to do well with that. And you'll find that there's a chat bar on the right-hand side that will allow you to post any sort of questions that you guys are having problems with. And so hopefully the text questions themselves have not been throwing you off too much, but questions 1, 2, and 3 is where we want you to focus. And what we'll be working with today then is we're going to be taking a look at what's going on with the civil rights movement. How did we start rooting out what was called de jure segregation? And de jure segregation is segregation that is required by law. And one of the things that we want to highlight for you is the idea that for many Americans nowadays who argue that we should be less focused on race and racism and discrimination, oftentimes the argument that they will make is that we have passed a lot of laws during the 1950s and the 1960s to get rid of legal segregation that was taking place as a result of the Civil War. The two terms that many people will use, though, when they're talking about discrimination in the United States is they'll talk about how we have both de jure segregation, and de jure segregation is the idea that it's mandated by law. We also have de facto segregation, which becomes the traditions and practices and habits of people inside the United States. And so as you watch the snippet that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today, I'm going to want you to notice that it's during these time periods in the late 1800s, early 1900s, mid 1900s, that we've got things going on like the building of Confederate monuments throughout the United States to remember what was going on during the Civil War. And a lot of times these monuments are being built near African-American neighborhoods, celebrating the lives of Robert E. Lee and other sorts of Confederates. And we nowadays are wrestling with the question of should statues like that be left where they're sitting? Some people will argue that they should, but others will point out that these statues oftentimes went up during a time when civil rights was being pursued, and it was very much meant to send a message of resistance to the civil rights movement. You'll also see in the clips that I'm showing you today, the Confederate flag becomes popular again in the 1950s. And a lot of that has to do with the idea that it was being used as a symbol of resistance towards the civil rights movement. And so what we're going to be examining today is we're going to be taking a look at the failure of the first era of Reconstruction to fix the civil rights issues that our country has. And so the period that you learned about in middle school, when you learned about Martin Luther King and nonviolent protests, a lot of historians refer to that as our second era of Reconstruction, when in modern times we try to address the things that were not successfully fixed during Reconstruction. And I think for most Americans, the acknowledgement that people will make is that there are gains that were made during this time period to end de jure segregation. Most Americans would also recognize that there is still discrimination and racism that very much has its roots in the very beginnings of our country in the 1600s when we started our slavery system. So first of all, you will find here's the link for our Google Meet. If you're here already, you should be good. But on any day that you are looking around for this and you don't see it in your Schoology messages, look at it on our activity log that is found inside of your Schoology folder right back here. You should also then, so here's our ongoing activity log. Here's our e-learning daily attendance. Please make sure you take attendance sometime today between now and 2 p.m. so your attendance looks the way that it's supposed to be going. And then what you should do today is you're going to be going to this Ed Puzzle today. It's a 24-minute snippet of video that I'd like to show you for the civil rights movement. And when you go to this Ed Puzzle, what I do want to highlight for you is, number one, when you're watching this Ed Puzzle, answer the questions that have been posted for you. But then also, if you would like to get full credit, you're going to need to watch 100% of the video that is being run. And so I want you to click through all of the prompts that I've got. So there are some notes and comments that I'm making. But when I get your work turned into me, I get work that looks like this. And what I'll see is I'll see green and 100% right here. That's what's going to indicate for me that you will need to, that you will be getting credit then for the work that we're doing today. If you notice that we've got some 90%, 20%, 10%, and so on, those are not getting credit for that work. And you should be seeing that show up in the grade book as we're working our way through today. Now, if you got confused or thrown off or whatever, and you've got work to do that you didn't do previously, please make sure you get that done. Send me an email to let me know if there's anything I should be looking for. But that's part of what we're doing with our assessment is, let me see here. Come here now. Number one, I'm trying to make sure that you're showing up for attendance. That's what the daily attendance sign-in log is for. For the Ed Puzzle, I'm trying to ensure that you're watching the content that I want to be able to get done. Sam, your dog is awesome, by the way. I think that's killer. And then thirdly, I'm checking your homework that you're doing. And then as we wrap up units, we'll be doing written assessments to find out if you know what you're talking about. So today we're working on Chapter 25, Lesson 1. For tomorrow, then, we'll be doing the same with Chapter 25, Lesson 2. And as you're working with your text questions, get those done tonight. We'll give you another Ed puzzle to work with tomorrow. And then tomorrow, we'll also be able to discuss what you see happening here. But when you're watching the clip from today, it's going to be focused on Chapter 25, questions 1 and 3. What do civil rights leaders do to try to help out with the civil rights movement? What resistance do you see Southerners doing? And in particular, how do we desegregate our classrooms? Because if you take a look at the classes that we have right now, one of the things that I love about teaching the classes that you're in is the diversity that our classes have currently. And that all comes from the decisions during the Eisenhower presidency to end the segregated schools that were obviously not separate but equal. And create a system that was very much moving closer to the type of equality that our country should be valuing. So that's where I'm going to leave you for today. My hope is that you understand what you're doing, but you've got a chat on the right-hand side. You've also got an email message at the, sorry, you can also send me an email or we can FaceTime. Miss you guys a ton. Hopefully you guys are doing well. Stay healthy, stay safe, and let me know if you're having any problems. I'm going to also be reaching out to parents, though. If I see that you're not getting work done or you're struggling with e-learning, I'll be reaching out to your parents. On the other hand, though, if you have a situation where stuff's not turned in and you start turning stuff in, just shoot me an email. I was working on grading essays for my AP kids. I'm now done with that, and so I'll be diving into regular daily work. So you should see your grades looking up to date very soon. And so if you know you've got stuff turned in that should make your grade look better, that should be showing up in the grade book either today or tomorrow. Have a great day, you guys. Let me know if I can help out in any way. See ya.